Welcome to the Brad and Taylor Show. Today we have Ryan Taylor.
You're listening to The Brad and Taylor Show, a podcast that inspires entrepreneurs to pursue their passions. We're sitting down with some of the best to learn how they got started and some lessons they learned along the way.
Hey, Ryan.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
We're good.
We're doing good. So let's get this started. So tell me a little bit about you and what exactly do you do?
So I am a realtor in the Lansing, Michigan area. So I help people buy, sell, and invest. Really all over in Michigan, but mostly in the mid-Michigan area. So that's where I grew up. So that's kind of where my network is. But lately I've been finding myself traveling 1 to 2 hours away, it seems like. So I'm all over Michigan. So that's what I tell people. But
hey, there you go. That's awesome. So you talked about you grew up in Lansing area. Did you what did you want to be when you were growing up, when you were younger? Like, did you want to be an agent? Like, how'd you get to where you're at now?
I wasn't really exposed to real estate until after college. When I was growing up, I actually wanted to be a golf pro. So that's what I went to school for. So I went to Ferris State, and they had one of the best golf programs to be like, not a professional golfer, but golf professional. So that's where I did my internship. So I went all over the country. I went out to the East Coast, went down to Florida, taught a lot of golf, worked at like running golf courses and everything like that. And I did that most of my 20s, and then realized I didn't want to do that anymore because I actually liked playing golf. So, but I met a lot of awesome people, and I would say that I use that in real estate every single day.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's something that is kind of, I think, positioned me to do what I'm doing in real estate naturally.
Uh-huh.
And because golf is one of the biggest ways that I network with people today. So thankful that I spent my time doing that in my 20s for sure.
I like it. I like it. You talked about going on vacation this week. You've been doing some golfing?
I'm gonna golf on Friday. So
I like it.
We have a 3-month-old, so I can't
you can't get away too much.
Like I prefer
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
But I told my wife I have to at least bring my clubs, if we're going.
I gotta bring it.
Yeah. If I bring the clubs, it kind of forces me to play. So we'll play at least once up there.
I like it.
Nice. Going into real estate, did you go right from golfing to real estate, or how did that transition kind of work for you?
So from golf, I first transitioned into more of like financial services on the corporate side of things. So I worked at Voya Financial when I was living in Connecticut, and then that was kind of where I was exposed to real estate. So I had a really good friend of mine, his mom and himself, they actually work for a commercial real estate firm that they buy assets all around the country, and then they basically do value add type of deals for investors and bigger clients, and more in the multi-million-dollar range. And I was just blown away by what type of options there were, the different career paths, whether it was commercial or residential. And I wasn't really sure how I was going to do it, but I just said, I have to get to that at some point. And from that point, that was probably 2013.
Okay.
I made it a goal to slowly gravitate towards that side of things, because nobody in my family had been in real estate. Really, it was just when I was living out in Connecticut that I was actually exposed to that. But the commercial side is a very niche industry. And unless you have a ton of experience or you do some type of very specific internship to get into it, it's hard to crack the commercial side of things. But I figured that the lowest barrier to entry for me was the residential side. And then I could try to figure out if commercial was interesting to me rather than just waiting to see if I could get into commercial at some point. So that kind of led me to just get into residential. Also, not really knowing how to be successful at it or anything like that, but kind of just taking a leap instead of waiting.
Yeah. So how'd that first transaction go when you first went into it? To go smooth?
It was one of the bumpiest I think I've had so far. And I think right after I said, if this is how it's going to be, then I'm not really sure if I can do this.
It's a learning experience, though. I feel like for most people, the first one is a little rough.
It was it was helping somebody buy and sell at the same time.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
So it was essentially four parties at, a 4-party transaction.
Right.
And yeah, it was really bumpy on both sides of things. And I was like, man, this industry is a lot harder than people make it out.
Yeah. It's a lot harder than people make it look.
Yeah. But the ones where you mess up or you see things go wrong, you need that to happen for you to learn so that it doesn't happen again, or so that when that comes up again, you know how to handle it.
Yeah.
I spent the whole first year just being exposed to probably a lot more than the normal first year agent, because I was doing a lot of transaction coordinating.
Uh-huh.
So instead of me jumping in as an agent just trying to sell, I was helping somebody that was already doing a lot of deals. So I was exposed to probably 50 or 60 deals in a 12-month period, where if I was just by myself, I might have been exposed to 3 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, I got about 5 years worth of experience in a year.
Yeah.
So that allowed me I think you have to go through that, say the number's 50. I think you have to go through 40 to 50 to feel like about 80% of what you need to know to actually do business ethically and gain some traction. And until you do that, you're going to struggle, I believe.
Did you get any advice when you first started out that kind of have just like stuck with you throughout the years even?
Yeah, I think from some veterans, some important advice was that the industry in my area, just like it is in all areas, the industry is small and your reputation is everything. So when there's something that makes you want to react emotionally, just realize that you might be doing a deal with that same person down the road.
Yep.
And look at, have your actions be driven by that rather than what might be frustrating right in the moment, because if they're only going to remember that, then might not choose to do a deal with you down the road in the future.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Is there a property that sticks out to you for being the worst property over the last couple of years, or even a worst showing that you've been to maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I've walked through a lot with investors because I probably 60-40 do residential and then investing. So helping people buy their first time rentals, I've done a lot of that. And through that, we've walked through a lot of, one specifically had the entire living room, was about half the living room. You pulled up the carpet and there was dog urine had gone through the carpet, through the padding, through the hardwood floors.
Oh my goodness. That's a lot.
So to me, if you're helping somebody in the residential side of things, they're going to walk right out. But if they're an investor and they know that they're going to do some work, to me, those things mean money and a return on investment. So as long as you can get them over that objection, and just explain to them that, hey, you can rip this carpet out, you can paint these walls, you can, in this case, cut the hardwood floors out and put something else on it before you put on it. But yeah, the worst ones are by far when there's feces, just a complete mess, food that's been in a refrigerator for a year, but
opening a fridge. I didn't even think about that.
That means opportunity in my eyes. So
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you done any like investing by yourself, like doing flipping properties yourself?
I've been a part of a couple flips. Sorry, that's my cat. That's just
it's okay.
I've been a part of a couple flips, and personally, I've renovated and house hacked a triplex that I own about a mile away from me.
Nice.
That was probably a lot more work than we thought it was going to be. The hardest part was actually convincing my wife that we should stay there. House at the time. So
did you stay during construction?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
He says, oh yeah.
that was a challenge in our relationship because she's like, well, how long are we going to be here? And I said, 6 months. And that 6 months turned into a year pretty fast.
Mhm.
And then the year mark, we got out like a year to the day.
Wow.
We got into a house and we moved out. But
Was
it's
it-
just a good example of it's always more work than you think it's going to be. It's always more
Yeah.
work, more money than you think it's going to be, but it's worth it to me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that your first one?
what's that?
Was that like your first kind of like house you kind of flipped? You said kind of house hack?
Yeah. Yep. It was funny because we were living in an apartment at the time and looking at houses just on Zillow like everybody does.
Yep.
And she showed me this house and she thought it was a single family home and it was actually a chopped up house. She did not intend to show me a 3-unit. And I was like, oh, that's perfect. And she didn't know it was a triplex. And that's the one we actually bought and was like, hey, you showed it to me.
Yeah. Hey, we got it. That's you showed me.
If it wasn't for you, I never would have known about it. So thank you.
It's funny how that worked out, but at least you got out of there and you're kind of moved on to the next one and went from there. So
Yeah.
I'm sure she's much
Yeah.
happier now.
Oh yeah, now she appreciates it because
Bring.
that's gonna help pay for our daycare
Yep.
for our 4-month-old when next month. So
Yep. Yeah, that's awesome. What kind of goals do you got coming up in the next year or so? Like, you do want to build anything, build a team? What do you want? What you want to do?
yeah, I was thinking about that question because immediately you think of like how many deals you might want to do, but for me, it's almost like, and I've realized the last year, it's almost like focusing on money. Like I want $1 million. Like there's nothing behind that, right? So
Yeah.
it's about what action that you put behind what sort of goal that you have. So to me, if I want to double what I'm doing this year, it's building my brand through video. So to me, as long as I'm, spending time where my network circles are, which is through golf, through golf, and then through like I'm in a golf league, for example, and to me that's a way for me to network and just be myself. But
Yeah.
if I'm doing those things that are natural for me rather than feeling like I constantly have to get outside of my comfort zone, one big thing for me is making 2 videos a month, and that's videos that I'm posting to YouTube and then repurposing on Instagram and Facebook.
Okay.
Talking about questions that people that are my avatar clients, questions that they're asking, because even when you think you're dealing with a client that they might know, a certain part of a real estate transaction, usually they don't. So if you answer those basic questions in the form of video, to me, that's a good way to attract people when you're marketing rather than, doing the cold calling and, sending out postcards. I don't think those are very good uses of my time.
Yeah.
So if I can show my personality through video, that will kind of come back to me
Mm-hmm.
over time rather than just focusing on X amount of deals, because
Yeah.
it all depends on the little steps of action that I'm taking each day in order to get there.
Yeah.
How many videos do you got done this month?
Well, I started in 2021, like
Yep.
Okay.
literally for January, and I was doing one a week, and then it turned out to be a lot.
Yeah.
And then we had our baby, and that just put a halt on things for a while. So this summer I did like 8 or 10 to start the year out, and I was getting some traction in areas that you wouldn't think you would, and getting more views that you're surprised about. And so I know it works. It's just taking the time to do it, because I was doing all the editing,
Yeah.
posting, doing the covers and all that stuff, and it's a lot of work, and you almost need to spend, it's almost like a part-time job. So
Oh yeah.
I think one a week is more than you even need to do, but that's what I was doing. So as long as I can do 2 a month, picking it back up in the summer and doing it through the rest of the year, and then just continuing to do it. That would be my goal.
With their videos that you've been doing, is there a question maybe that's been repeated that you think that new clients or anyone that you have worked with in the past have just been like the main question that everyone always asks you?
Biggest question has to do with cost to buy
Okay.
in specific areas. The video that surprisingly got the 2 videos that got a lot of traction were how to house hack a triplex and how to use my retirement funds to buy a house. But to me, the question that comes up the most is specific costs associated with buying.
Okay.
But I mean, the list is endless. What I started to do is I bought just a cheap keyword search tool, and I would just search in Google, certain questions that I've been asked, and see what the search volume is on it. See how many people are actually searching it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I would backwards plan, and I would make videos on that. And I would just come up with a list of 20 questions and pick one question for whatever day I'm making the video, and just bullet points instead of like reading from a script.
Right.
So I could actually talk off a little bit and show personality rather than like reading from a teleprompter.
Yeah.
Have you done like you said you're gonna post them on YouTube? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a couple
the
of good
ones
people
on YouTube right now.
Yeah, there's a couple of really good people in Detroit that are doing a really good job at it. We had one on last week, and there's another one that's their podcast is already posted, but we like they do a ton of business from YouTube, and it's just like literally just showing the town.
Yeah, and it gives people a way to get to know you too before it's like an interview almost.
Yeah.
They get to kind of know you before you get to know them in a way, so they can already tell that they want to work with you.
That's the goal, because if you're likable, unfortunately, if you're not likable, nobody's going to use you, right?
It's so true.
If that's the goal, is I want you to know me before I even know you, where you've made up in your mind that
I'm going to use you, right?
That we're not all of a sudden having some awkward listing presentation or buyer. I'm not having an awkward conversation with you to try to get you to be my client.
Yep.
You're coming to me because I've made enough videos where you feel like you know my personality.
Yep, for sure.
But that's driven because I feel like I'm an introverted type of person. If you're extroverted, you just go talk to as many people as you can. But us introverts, we have to attract the marketing rather than go. Yeah,
get it. Yeah.
Approach. I need to have people coming to me, and that's the only way to do it, is to do it through social media and leverage those platforms.
Yeah, and you have those videos funneled, you said, through your Facebook too and Instagram. So when you post it goes okay.
Yep, and I'll sort of repurpose them.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
Trying to get better at that. And if I don't have time to do YouTube, a full-on video that is usually 5 to 7 minutes, and it takes a couple of hours to shoot it, edit it,
prepare it.
If I don't have time to do that, I'll at least try to do Facebook stories and Instagram stories, because those that stay up at the top on each platform, those get more views than they do in the feed. You get lost in the feed.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure. That's awesome. So if you had to start over like today, was there anything you would change, like knowing all what you know now?
I would. Yeah, that $1,000, I'd pay somebody $1,000 and say, hey, for X amount of time, can you just follow me around with the camera and let's document, 5 different videos and chop them up.
Yeah.
And produce enough content for a couple months. There's so many things I wouldn't do with that seem like, oh, just throw $1,000 here, $1,000 there, or what amount of money it is. Because it's so tempting in this business to try to only do things that are going to get you results now.
Yeah.
Where you're only going to last if you're doing stuff that's going to play the long game. And it's hard to do that because it's like, well, you need the business now, but you might get those few deals now, but they're not going to really like multiply through referrals, because those deals that come to me and any business that comes to me based on something deeper like integrity, personality, work ethic, and you can't really convey that in a a quick piece of marketing. So that's sort of my strategy, but it's the long game. You got to be patient, which is probably the hardest thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the whole real estate, even from the buyer side or the seller side, patience. It goes the whole way around.
Yeah, it's hard, and it's weird because I mentioned those 40 to 60 deals where when you're going through that time, it feels like everything is going so slow in terms of I'm not getting any traction. Everybody else around me is doing a ton of business, and it's really it's strange how it's like a graph that just kind of goes like this, and then it just goes like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And all this, you have to spend time doing the right thing, providing value, where all that's going to come back to you, but it doesn't come back to you on your own time.
Yeah, I think that's the hard part.
Yeah, you'll do right for a client, or you'll provide more value than they're expecting, and then out of the blue, they call you and say, "Hey, I told somebody about you. They should be calling you tomorrow." Just weird stuff like that, but you can't force it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's awesome. What's your favorite book you've read?
My favorite book, business and self-help, is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
I like it.
So it's about, and I'm hoping that you can beat this out, but it's about you only have so many fucks to give.
I like that motto. That's like a life motto to live by.
It is.
Yeah.
To me, it's life, it's business. If you're experiencing some type of frustrating thing in business or in life, you only have a certain amount of, a good way to think about it is energy to give toward different aspects.
Mm-hmm.
And if I spend my energy in an area that's going to take me down a negative rabbit hole, then I'm going to get negativity out of it. So, if I take the high road and spend my energy on that, the negative stuff is inevitable. The deals that are going to fall through, they were going to fall through. It's just how you handle it. And rather than just saying, "Oh, this is how this business is," this is, playing the victim. It's like, nope, you have some amount of energy, and now you need to not waste it on that deal or waste it on that client. Now you can waste that time on a client that you can actually help.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably one of the best books on perspective, I'd say.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, how can people get a hold of you?
The best way is just text or email. My phone is 517-980-0994. I'm not afraid to give that out. Call me, text me anytime, or email. It's RyanTaylor21@gmail.
Awesome. And then what's your YouTube channel so people can go subscribe?
Oh, yeah.
Is Achieve Lansing.
Awesome. That's perfect. Hey, thanks for coming on and sharing your story with us today.
Yep. Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Are these working?
All right.
Here we go.
Oh, there we go. I think they're working. Should we tell them?
Mine keeps falling. It doesn't like my voice.
What do we got to tell them?
Subscribe.
Subscribe? What do we got to point at? Hey, I think there's a subscription button. Like
it might be there.
It might be right there too.
Somewhere.
Find
it. It's red.
Yeah. And it's blue. It's green. I don't really know.
It's a color.
This mic isn't even attached. Did you plug these in? Well, I guess.
I wonder if they can hear us.
Yeah, I wonder if they hear us. Well, we should probably tell them if they can hear us. We should probably tell them also give us a 5-star review for listening to on Apple. That'd be cool.
5 stars, review. Guys.
Share it with everybody they can think of.
We won't take 4 stars.
Taylor, I don't even think these are on.
No, I don't think this is working.
This is not working.